What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Jockstrap Sports. Tonight is a special, shorter episode, but we're going to try to do this with every Stanley Cup game as it's going on. But tonight we got Hockey Talk with Nick, part 6? I believe it's part 6.
I want to say you're right. I think it is part 6.
Man, we're on a roll. But you guys are going to be getting a little more frequent posts here during the Stanley Cup. Like I said, recap, kind of talk about the hot buzz of the game. So, Nick, go ahead and take it away. Give us kind of a rundown.
All right, guys. Well, as you know, the game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals was last night, and boy, everybody out. It was an amazing game. I had started off in Boston at the TD Garden. The Blues came out hot in the first period. With 10 minutes in, they got a goal. And, and that's what they wanted to go for in their game plan because, like I said in the previous podcast, they wanted to start off hot, they wanted to go fast, they wanted to go hard, and they wanted to score first because they don't like playing from behind. And they got that straight from the beginning by Brandon Schenn. He is such an amazing player. He's definitely a clutch player, and that was the only goalie for the first period. And it did look like the Boston Bruins definitely had a lot of rust coming off from that 10-day layoff, but that didn't seem to happen in the second and third periods.
Yeah, you know, that first period, I was telling you just a minute ago, I think this was one of the first games this season that I've actually sat down and watched. And the first period, I was a little concerned. I was watching, and the
if
Bruins
you were
looked slow.
A Bruins fan, you definitely would have been concerned just because, like I said, you know, that those days off, those can definitely take a toll on your body, or at least mentally and physically. Just physically it's going to help you, relax and, and all that stuff. But mentally, you want to get out there and come out blazing. But apparently that wasn't the choice in the first period for the Boston Bruins.
No, not at all. I think was it the first period that they had 2 power plays and couldn't capitalize at all?
Oh, absolutely not. Overall, in general, for the entire game, the Boston Bruins were 1 for 5 on the power play. For some reason, it just wasn't clicking. I don't know if it was the passing and the communications, it just wasn't working right. But then also at the same time, you are facing the Western Conference champions. They are going to give you a bit of a hard time. Their rookie goaltender was definitely, making the saves that he should have. But the Blues kept taking penalty after penalty, and eventually something was going to happen, and lo and behold, and that's what happened. So as we go into the second period, not even a few minutes in, Vladimir Tarasenko continues his goal streak, scoring a goal, making it 2-0. But then right after that, the game completely changed, flipped a 180 from St. Louis's way to Boston's.
And that was during that third power play when they ended up scoring, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. I think it was kind of just before then. I know I heard the commentator saying that Boston Bruins fans are used to scoring on 66% of their power plays and going 1 for 5. That's down to 20%. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. But then after that, they started things off, and they started doing really well with Connor Clifton starting off the goals with the goalies with assists by Sean, Curley, and Nordstrom. And then I want to say 10 minutes later on, center ice, Charlie McAvoy took the puck, came in through the blue line, took a shot. It might have been tipped by Blues defenders. It kind of looks like it did. And next thing you know, it's tied 2-2, and the TD Garden was going absolutely insane. This is the team that they've been wanting to see, or they have been seeing this entire playoffs, and they actually outshot the Blues in the second period, 18-3, and that's definitely not good if you're a Blues fan.
Yeah, I saw that image come up on the screen. I think the first period they were pretty even. I think it was like the Blues were 18-15.
Yeah,
or something like that, and then the Bruins just totally outshot them in that second period, and obviously it paid off.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. I kind of just kept talking.
No, so eventually at the end of the game, the Boston Bruins outshot the St. Louis Blues 38-20. They actually also won the face-off percentage 54-46. And then the Blues had a couple chances on the power play, but they only had 2 power play chances, and they left for 0-2. Hits were 33-32 in favor of the Blues. But by the time the third period came around, it was all Boston all day. The Blues definitely had some scoring chances, but the thing is they didn't take advantage of it, and the Boston Bruins did. And like I said, for the Boston Bruins to win, they need all four lines banging, and that's what they got out of Connor Clifton and Sean Curley.
I got to say, it was good to be able to watch the game and understand, a little more after what we've been talking about the last couple weeks.
Yeah, the atmosphere was absolutely amazing. This is what every hockey player dreams about, is playing in the Stanley Cup Final. These players are absolutely amazing on both teams, with Shen, Tarasenko, Schwartz, Binnington, and Chara, McAvoy, Rask, Marchand. Like there's so many future Hall of Famers that are in this Stanley Cup this year. I can't wait for the future that holds for both teams. On to the third period. Sean Corelli has been on a hot streak, or he just happens to be showing up at the right time, at the right place for the Bruins, scoring 5 minutes into the third period to eventually take the lead, and the Boston did not look back from there. With 2 minutes left in the game, the Blues pulled their goalie so they could have a 6-on-5, and eventually Brad Marchand got the empty netter, and that's all she wrote.
One thing I wanted to talk about was that helmetless. There we go.
That's a hard one.
It's hard to say. But Torrey Krug just coming balls to the walls.
Coming in hot.
Oh yeah, and I loved it.
Did you saw the hit? It was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Now, for those of you who weren't a fan of it, just so you know, a lot of people are calling a charging penalty for that. But if you look up the rules, I don't think it was a charging. It was a passionate. It was an aggressive part of the game. Torrey Krug was fighting with the Blues player down in the defensive zone of the Bruins, and there was no penalty because both of them were just pushing and shoving one another until eventually Torrey Krug's helmet fell off. And now he still needed to finish his shift. So instead of going back to that player, because that player changed, I think it was Perron, if I remember right. And so, he was playing with a lot of passion. He was playing with a lot of energy. And lo and behold, a Blues player happened to have the puck with his head down. And Torrey Krug was coming in hot, and he came in high, and he came in fast, and he knocked him out with a good, clean hit. Now, I'm going to say that again. That was a clean hit, if you ever know anything about hockey.
And that was something that even I noticed. I watched that hit, and I was like, oh, man, hell yeah. Like, that's what I miss about the NFL, is these clean, solid hits. And that was a clean hit that was solid, all upper body, no going for the head, no cheap shots or anything like that. And the guy was doing it without a helmet.
Yeah. No, you're allowed to play in the NHL. If you lose your helmet, you're allowed to continue skating on the ice. Any other level, if it's the AHL, QMHL, college hockey, if you lose your helmet, you automatically have to go to the bench, or a whistle will be blown. And then just for goals in general, so let's say a goalie gets their helmet knocked off, that's an automatic whistle because they're goalie, they're getting shot at with the puck. They want to make sure that they're safe. But with this, it is the NHL. You're allowed to skate without your helmet. Now, when it comes to the charging, with charging, that means that you have to take more than 2 strides. So let's say I'm 6-7 feet away from you. If I charge my skates and I come to you, that's considered charging. Makes sense, right? But if you come in gliding, that is not charging. And also, it's also considered a charge if the player jumps up before the initial hit to the opposing player. That is also considered charging. But if you look in the rule books, it will say everything that I just said. He did not do any of those. He had the puck. His head was down. He was allowed to get hit. So, it was just a hard hit. That's all it was, and it got the fans alive, and it got the team energized, and it ended up going for their favor, and Bruins winning Game 1.
But we definitely didn't see like a Bobby Boucher jumping, spearing the guy, and that's what I loved about the hit.
Oh, and the player that he hit was Thomas, and apparently they're already building a statue outside the Garden of that hit. Apparently, everybody's saying that's the hit heard around the hockey world for the past 24 hours, and I honestly don't blame them.
Well, hey, they got to go on to win it all if they want to build that statue.
And that's what I love about playoff hockey. You know, he had a guts and determination, and he was hot. He was ready. He was passionate, and you know, that's what I love about this game, because he carried that momentum, and he put the team on his back, and they ended up outcoming with the win that they really wanted. And I think the rest of the team saw how much effort that he's putting in with each and every shift. And lo and behold, I mean, nothing against the Blues, but they put in just as a hard effort. But the thing is, I think overall at the end of the day, the Bruins just had a little more oomph in their stride.
Well, let's hope they continue that oomph through the series. We want to keep it exciting. We want to keep them close, just to interest all the hockey fans out there. But, I wouldn't mind seeing a Bruins sweep.
The last time there was actually a sweep in the Stanley Cup playoffs was actually back in 1998, and that was with the Detroit Red Wings. That was the last time we saw a sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals. But, hey, I mean, you never know. I'd like, just like for any other sports fans, I like it to be competitive. And this is a team, the Blues can do it. The Blues, when they play at home, they have a very loud crowd. I mean, they've been winning a Stanley Cup for 49 years. And so I'm sure as soon as after Game 2, Games 3 and 4 back in St. Louis, I'm sure it's going to be a tough game for the Boston Bruins. And then the St. Louis Blues, they love playing at home. They're great at home. So it'll be definitely interesting for the rest of the series to watch.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to it.
With that being said, we're ready for Game 2 tomorrow. It's also going to be at the TD Garden at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be on NBC Sports Network on CBC. You know that me and Adam will definitely be watching the game, and we'll tell you a game recap after that one.
Check us out on Instagram at jockstrap_sports, and make sure to follow us on Twitter at sportsjockstrap. Catch you next time, guys.
Deuces.